So we're hanging out here in the media room. This is a great place to go. When you record a show, you can sit and critique it, not just how everything sounds, but your movements, what you're doing. Not that everything's choreographed, but there are some times where, like, man, I just stood there for too long with that. Should be doing more. And then you also see some things that you're just like kind of cringe. This is a tool that I would definitely recommend to any band. While we're here though, we're going to be going through some questions I pulled off the website. I'll just jump right into it. We got my influences. My biggest influence by far is my dad. He was a musician his entire life, had a radio show when he was a little kid, and just worked with some of the greats of his era. He was one of the greats of his era. He played blues and jazz, classical, country, rock, just basically did everything. The most important deal was, not only did he get into everything, he did it well. He excelled at everything. He put his mind to it, and that's where I pull my work ethic from, is the fact that he never settled for anything less than perfect. And that's a driving factor that I think makes a huge deal in music and really in everything in life. But I remember being in the room above his practice studio. It was my bedroom, and I could put my ear to the heating vent and listen to him going through scales and chord progressions and working out songs. And he would just beat those songs to death and then play them some more until he had them absolutely perfect. And that was always very, very inspiring to me. So he's definitely my biggest influence. Current band, I really like, as far as my all-time favorites, be Gin Blossoms and Delamitri and those guys, but I don't really have a current favorite. I listen to everything, and at the moment, if you were to ask what's, at this very minute, I would probably say Mumford & Sons, just because they came out with their first album, and you have to dance with the one that brought you, but at the same time, I'm real curious to see what their sophomore release comes out like, because they have such a unique sound. You don't want your second CD to sound just like your first, but they're so unique. It'll be kind of curious. I'm curious to see how they grow and how that works out for them. So that's if I had to say this very moment, I'd say Mumford & Sons. 2am Logic in 10 years, I see us hopefully on top. My biggest thing is I know we have a lot of potential. I will be happy once I've seen that we have fulfilled the potential that we have as a group. I have a lot of things, I want to outsell Elvis and the Beatles and Garth Brooks all put together and things like that. Those are goals I've set for myself just because it will drive me until I die. Those are things that probably never going to happen, but I've set my mind to them because then I know I will constantly have something to drive forward. But in 10 years as the band, I really hope that we are headlining some major world tours, and basically that no matter where we go, we're going to draw people that are excited to see that show, that want to see that show, that are waiting 2 or 3 days camped out in front of the ticket office, although I guess the internet's kind of taking care of a lot of that, but basically where people are excited and happy to come to a 2am Logic show. And if we can have that in 10 years, no matter where we go, I think that'll be really saying something. Where am I at? Favorite 2am song would be, if I had to pick one, Green Carpet. We have a lot of ones that I have personal connections to. Some of them I don't usually like to talk about it because I don't want people knowing what's really close to home for me. Try to keep myself guarded. But as far as the writing process and everything, Green Carpet, just because of the way it was written and the way it happened in the studio. I was sitting with my buddy Blake Shropshire, and I was talking about the medication he's on. He's got this big window in his house. We're sitting on his couch, and he's talking about how numb he is from all this medication. And he says, I can watch a bus full of kids, come flying down that road, roll over, catch fire, explode, whatever. I wouldn't even move. He goes, I'm so numb, it wouldn't even matter to me. And I thought, man, that's a pretty powerful statement, dude. And knowing Blake, of course, you couldn't get him numb enough to not jump in and help somebody. That's the kind of guy he is. But that statement just absolutely buried itself in my head. Next day we take off on tour, and we're on the bus, and Pickles has a guitar out, and he's like, hey, I want you to hear this thing that I wrote the other night. I'm like, all right. It was a chorus, and I'm not the only one. And he goes off on that, and he said he wrote it, in his room. And his room has this green carpet, this green shag, god-awful carpet. So for some reason that stuck, even though the carpet has nothing to do with the song or the lyrics or anything. And so I put that numb idea to his chorus, and it really clicked well for two random ideas coming together at the right time. Then we get into the studio, and Scott Taylor from STS Sound, he's really got this. He's really dialed into this song, and he's fired up about it. We were traveling 4 hours to go to the studio at that point. So we get down there, and it was inspiring for us, for him to really like this, because he's somebody we really look up to. Scott's an amazing musician himself, and so he comes up with an idea of layering these verses and just 4 or 5 different harmonies on it, from as low as I can sing to as high as I can sing, and really blending that together. And I thought that to me was magic, the way that song just fell together from beginning to end. And it's one of my favorites to sing on stage too, because I can kind of look back at Pickle and just be like, yeah, he gives me that same nod, Show anywhere in the world, I would say the Moon. I want to be the first band to sell out a show at the Moon. But there's no venue and all that stuff might be a little difficult, but we'll make it happen. That's not really in the world though. Cody and I have this running thing about selling out Madison Square Garden and those kind of things. It's always a joke that we have, but the problem being that then the next Justin Bieber comes along and completely crushes your records, and then you're stuck with that for the rest of your life. So I guess the main thing for me is not so much the venue; it's going to be the stage. I want to be where people are happy to be there, and that they can go and get a show that is to the best of our potential, to the best of our crew, to the lighting people, the pyros, all that kind of stuff. I want them to be in a venue that allows us to do everything we can do to the best of our abilities. Really, location is not so big. But Pickles and I talked about it too, though. The idea of being in another country where English is not the primary language, and seeing thousands of people sing those lyrics back to you in English, that impacts me when I see that on these videos and such, because for them to love a song so much, even though it's not in their primary language, I think is saying a lot. So that'd be pretty cool too. Balancing band and family life, it can be an issue. I don't think it's that big a deal, really. Of course, this is coming from somebody who got a divorce 2 years into the band, 3 years into the band starting. So take that with a grain of salt. But to me, if you have the right people around you, whether it's a girlfriend, a wife, your mom and dad, your siblings, I think the biggest thing with that balance is that they need to understand the sacrifice. They need to understand if they're with you, part of you is that dream of music and everything that comes along with that. I wouldn't want to date somebody and change who they are, and I think that the idea of being with somebody, they have to accept who you are. They have to accept that that's your dream, that that's what you want to do, and that's what keeps you awake at night, and that's what fuels your energy and all that. I think if somebody understands that, they're going to support you. I do miss my kids a lot when I'm on the road. That's a pretty crushing thing. We try to have kids with us as much as we can, because we do party, we do live it up, but at the same time, we are responsible adults that do have families and concerns with that. So I'd say the balance is basically dedicate time to the band, dedicate what you have to do to get where you need to be. At the same time, don't make it a 24/7 thing. When you do have time, dedicate that to your family. Don't come home and watch TV with your kids. You get home from being on the road for however long, go take them somewhere. Go build memories with them and take advantage of that time. So that to me is the crucial thing about the balance, is surrounding yourself with the right people, and then when you do have time, make the most of it. Speaking of bandmate, what do I admire about them? I definitely admire everybody in this band. Dustin has this work ethic that's just unbelievable. He is a lot like my dad in the sense that he will take a song and just beat it to death and learn it forwards and backwards, learn it high speed and learn it really slow so that each little picking pattern, everything to it is perfect. That definitely inspires all of us. Cody has this way of just being very very relaxed, and it's hard to get Cody riled. Not that I've tried, but you have to really be doing something wrong in order to piss Cody off. He's just got that very even-keeled temper, and that's inspiring at times where things are happening, and everybody gets all excited whether it's good or bad, and he's just like, no, let's just take care of this, guys. And he's very good at just taking a situation and just working on it, just chucking away at it. Pate's got a very good vibe to him, man. He's very excited about music, man. He loves what he's doing. He loves being out. He loves having these opportunities, and he brings just such a positive attitude towards everything, and that really bleeds into not just the band stuff. I mean, I'll admit that bleeds into my personal life and everything, just everything, man. It's infectious the way he is about stuff. But, if I had to pick one, it'd be my buddy Pickles, because we can be sitting, we can have something on the road go completely wrong, or even in our hometown, completely wrong, and he'll be complaining about it. We'll all be sitting around and going, man, this sucks and this and that. But he has a humor to him that's dark at the same time. So he will say something that'll just get us cracking up. Man, it's hard to be pissed off when you're laughing. And he just has that way of bringing that out in people. Just, life sucks, this is horrible, blah, blah. And then suddenly you're just off laughing about it. Next thing you know, that kind of levels everything out. We're like, all right, let's tackle this. Let's take care of it. So, that'd probably be my admiration, I guess, is spread to all the guys. And that's kind of a cheesy answer because I'm not picking one. My parents are a huge part of that. Like I said, my dad is a very talented musician. He's great at what he does, and he's got amazing work ethic. My mom is very vocal if she sees things aren't as good as it could be. She I think understands more of my potential than I do, and she's very outspoken about that. So, perfect example. We've been a band about a year, and she comes along and she goes to one of our shows. And we had 3 sets or whatever. We're playing a bar set, and I play one set. I come down, a couple of the other guys, hey, want to hear what your mom thinks, because she's been around music her whole life and she's been at the highest levels. And so she, we're like, how'd it go, Mom? What do you think? She goes, well, honestly. We're like, yeah, well, that's why we're asking you, honestly. Because I really thought as much as you guys practiced that you'd be better. And I was crushed. I'm like, that's what you have to say about it, not that this song's great, or that, hey, I wrote this about my brother and all that kind of thing. No, we should be better. And the guys were kind of like, man, your mom's pretty harsh. I'm like, yeah, she can be that way, that's just how she is. But I got home and I thought about it, and I realized what Mom was really saying was, you're better than this, man. If you're putting that amount of time into it, you should be doing better. And she was right, and that ignited that fire again, man. I was hard at work on everything. I was breaking down those songs and realized, man, this part is kind of dry, or this part should just be gone. And I went through our entire set in the next couple of days and basically just did nothing but pick that set apart, because I realized that my mom was right, man. We should have been doing a lot better than we were doing. And to this day, we'll get a mix, we'll go to the studio, we come back home to Idaho, I'll go right to her house with that CD, put it in, and sit and cringe, because I know that I'm going to get a very honest opinion. But they drive me, and they don't accept failure. They don't accept, and it's been that way my entire life, they won't accept anything less than my very best. And that is a constant drive, that's a constant force, and that's always there. My favorite vocalist, I would say at this moment recently we got to see a Nickelback Buck Cherry 3 Days Grace show, and Adam Gontier from 3 Days Grace was amazing. He was very on everything. It was a very solid performance, but there was 2 points in the show where he'd stop everything, it was at the end of a song, they'd kick the house lights on, and you'd look around and people beside you sitting down, and you're like, it's a great show, why are you sitting? He started getting on people. Why are you sitting? You're at a rock and roll show. You need to be on your feet. You need to be cheering. You need this and that. And I'm like, oh man, he's pretty serious about that. He's trying to get everybody off their seats. They play a couple more songs. House lights kick on, and then some of the people that had stood up sat back down. Or or had been sitting when the lights come back on. He gets off the stage, comes off the stage, and has like one security guy with him. Goes through the mosh pit, goes through the standing room only on the floor. This is in a big stadium. He starts crawling around up into the upper deck as he's singing the next song and lifting people out of the seat. And that's always been a big deal to me, is to be able to say, you're at the stage and there's people that have paid, $200 a ticket or whatever to be right here. They're into that show. How do you make that person that you can't see because of the stage lights? You can only see the first few rows when it's lit up like that. How do you make somebody, 100 yards away from you that, went and bought a ticket, man? They took the trip there. They waited in line. They've, had to deal with the crowd to get to their seat. They've got the person 3 seats down to them that's got a small bladder and has to walk in front of them every 20 freaking seconds. They're dealing with all that stuff to see that show. How do you make that person make it feel to them that it was worth their time and their money and their effort? And I think Gautier, I've seen a lot of evidence in him that he takes that seriously, and he goes through and he tries to find out how he can make everybody in that room, whether it's a small venue or a huge arena, make everybody feel like they've been to a show and that it was worth their time and effort. Another thing, he wrote a CD in rehab, which I can connect with. So, but I do like that cat. I think he's very talented. What I feel makes a band. The biggest thing about a band, I think, has to be the cohesion. You have to work well together. You have to be driven and have the same purpose as a collective, not just as individuals. You can have the most talented musicians in the world, and this has been proven with some of these super bands and such that have come out. You can have the greatest people in the world, this guitar player that can play everybody under the table, a drummer that can do stuff that looks like he has 4 or 5 arms. When it comes down to it, you've got to work together. You've got to serve the song, and that's, I think, one of my favorite things about 2am Logic. And I guess I'm jumping into the next question. We'll do that too. 2am Logic, I think that one of their biggest strengths is the fact that they can pull together. They serve the song. They don't get hung up on, I want to look good on this part. They want this part to sound the best it can for the song. And I think we all serve the song and have that single-minded purpose in what we do. And that's a huge deal. I think that is 2am's biggest strength. It's just how we work together, that cohesion. When I'm on the road, I try not to lean in on anybody individually, whether I'm on the road or off the road. The biggest thing to me, I relied on the pen and paper a little too much, I think, early on. I think our second album kind of shows that. That was my therapy. And to be flat out honest, man, I was angry. I was an angry person. I was not happy with the world. I was not happy with my life. And I think that bled into the lyrics and such a little too much. That was not me. That's not who I wanted to be. And, it was me, unfortunately. But so I've learned to back off on that a little bit. Learned to rely on other people a little bit more. I definitely lean on the band, probably about more than anybody, because those are my best friends. Those are people that, don't take this the wrong way, it is unfortunate that I do spend more time with them than I do with my family, with my friends and such, but that's what we do to get where we want to be in the dream that we have. But those guys, they're my brothers, man. They're the family that I have chosen. They're the family that I've been lucky enough to be involved with, and that paths crossed at the right time so that we can all be this family and have this band. But I do have some very close friends that I rely on, that I'll make phone calls and such when I'm down. But when it comes down to it, it's still, a lot of it is that pen and pad. And I think that's a good way to get heartfelt songs. It's right from the heart. So that's my therapy a lot of the time. Nichols brought it up the other day, though, that when you're on the road, it's hard to get down because you're doing what you love. You have an opportunity to do stuff that most people don't ever get to have. You're getting to meet all these people that are excited about what you're doing, and that you hear their stories and how the songs have impacted you and everything. That, to me, is really, when you phrase it like this, you shouldn't have to lean on anybody emotionally. You should be excited to be out there. So, props to Pickles on that one too. As far as how the fans influence 2am Logic, definitely the input. We have a wide variety of fans. younger and older and everything in between. And I think there's a certain amount of luck and magic that came together at the right time for that. We have a brand of music that I think connects with a lot of people, and that's been a very positive thing for us, because when we get feedback from you guys, from the fans, we do have to understand that we're five guys that are basically within 4 years age of each other. We do have different backgrounds and everything, but it's easy to be in that bubble. It's easy to see that our life is this band and this, and not see what's going on around us. When the fans come at us and tell us, hey, this song sucks and this is why, or hey, I really like this part because of this and that, we take that to heart and don't think that we don't, because we're very receptive to the world around us, because it is easy to get in that bubble, and we recognize that. So the biggest influence I see, though, is when we're on stage, and even if it's a serious or a sad song or something, if I look out, there's just times where you gotta smile, because you see all these people smiling back at you, man. They're excited to be there. That's a pretty big deal to me personally, and I know it is to the rest of the band too, because that's why we do it. We'd still be in a garage playing music that nobody wants to hear if it wasn't for fans wanting to hear it. So that's a big deal to us, and I'd say that's the biggest influence that the fans have on us, just keeping us inspired to do what we do. Along that same lines, definitely let us know what you think. Don't take the new album home and pound the hell out of it and tell us how much we suck, unless you truly feel that way, in which case, please do. We've had bad reviews. That's part of life. We're not going to please everybody. But definitely, when you hear our music, when you go to a show, when you take pictures and stuff, post those pictures, send them to us, let us know. If you take videos in venues where that's allowed, don't break the rules. Let us know what you thought about the show. Let us know where we could be better. Let us know what you appreciated. Just that input and that line of communication. We have always prided ourselves on being a very open band, being very, come to us, we'll come to you. We've put like this thing here where we posted that we wanted questions from you guys, because what we think is interesting might not be what you guys think are interesting. So that involvement that we have, that level of involvement that friends have in the band and our fans have in the band, that's one of the biggest things we could possibly have. So please keep that up. Hardest part about being in a band is definitely when there's problems and everything, keeping motivated, keeping everybody on the same page. You've got 5 personalities in our case that might not always have the same thing in mind. Somebody might have a bad day or have a personal issue with family, and somebody else is completely excited about the show coming up, and those two people getting along might not be the easiest thing at the moment, but just basically understanding that we do come from different things on a day-to-day basis, man. We have our lives outside the band, and when we get together, it is sometimes hard to keep that single-minded focus on a goal. So that's definitely one of the hardest parts about being in a band, I feel. And let's see here. Best part about being in a band. All right. The best part is, we practice on certain days of the week. I know, for instance, on Tuesday at 7 o'clock, I get to go jam with my best buddies and make music and have these things where, if I've got an idea for a lyric or a guitar riff, or one of the other guys comes in, says, hey, this is my idea, what I'm working on and all that, we all get together, we dive into that song, and it just blooms. And it's an amazing thing to me, because I get to sit and watch that whole process from the very beginning, from the conception of an idea to have it go into the studio, and being a part of that is amazing. A close second would be, maybe even sometimes first, would be just to be able to tour and experience all these places all over that I would never have gotten an opportunity to be at, and to talk to people that I would have never met had this band not happened. And we've developed some great friendships, some great professional relationships and things like that with some amazing people. And that is something that I'm going to take away from this whole band experience when I'm on my deathbed thinking about my life. That's one of the biggest things I'm going to be focused on, is all the opportunities and the people and everything that has happened because of the band. I'm very, very grateful.
'cause I see it now. I can't